Football is our religion. One Call Stadium is our church. Nigel Clough, the God we choose to believe in, and by name I am your priest. With the games coming thick and fast, the Sunday sermon is back. The Stags were 2-1 down at Tranmere heading into the 90th minute, and it looked like their unbeaten run would come to an end. But back in the side from suspension, Ollie Hawkins went from centre-half to centre-forward, and in front of the Stags fans, delivered a moment of drama.
Can Mansfield Town rescue themselves again? Murphy delivers the corner in towards the middle. Oh yeah! It's incredible stuff!
No more than they deserve with that one.
In the 90th minute, the Stags strike again.
Why didn't Hawkins go up earlier?
But 8 minutes of added time due to an injury to Rawson meant the game was open, and it was anybody's for the taking. And given the way the Stags had performed at the back, it was inevitable that the game wasn't over and there was drama yet to come. This time, for the first time in a long time, it didn't quite go Mansfield's way.
Tranmere have breached the offside trap again. It's going to be a bowling towards the area. It's a shot and it's there. Tranmere Rose have got it again. And number 20 who scored again. The substitute of Elliot Nevitt who makes it 3-2.
So the Tranmere fans jubilant, as well they deserve to be, as Mansfield weren't good enough on the night. And Nigel Clough knows that his side have to turn things around as they head for Port Vale on Tuesday night. But can they do it? Do they have enough character within the squad to make sure that they bounce back at the first opportunity to ensure that the fantastic couple of months we've just had, which left us longing for promotion at the end of it, still comes true? Tonight, on the return of the Sunday sermon, we'll delve into Friday night's action. I'll probably have a little dig at the Tranmere fan who screamed in my face, although it was all fair in love and football. And we'll look ahead to Tuesday night's trip to Port Vale aside, who themselves are gunning for promotion. It's tight at the top of League 2. Anything, as we heard on Friday, could happen. So strap yourselves in. There's still a long way to go on the journey. As ever, we want you to have your say on your team in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on the performance from Friday night. Let us know what changes you'd make ahead of Tuesday as well. Rawson bound to be out. Rawson Akins bound to be out as well with an injury which no doubt rocked the boat. And of course, John Joe O'Toole back available for selection as well, as his suspension comes to an end. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast and the return of the Sunday sermon. Let's find out what lessons we can learn. Lesson number 1 from Nigel Clough will probably be to play Ollie Hawkins up front on Tuesday. Anyway, let's delve into the podcast as always. Good evening, hello, and welcome to you all. Welcome to the return of the Sunday sermon. Some say the long-awaited return of the Sunday sermon. The one question I get asked quite often on a Saturday is, what time are you on tomorrow? And I always say, if there's not a midweek game, we won't be. But there is a midweek game. We go again on Tuesday night, so we will be all things Sunday sermon here this afternoon to talk all things Mansfield Town, where after 14 games, the unbeaten run comes to a shuddering halt at Tranmere. Joining me to reflect on it, the man who was holding Mr. Wilson's balls on the bus on the way there, not what you think, and the man who was in the stands, Mr. Clive Parkin. Good evening.
Hello, everybody.
And the man who was alongside me, who's calls himself Accident Prone Al. I call him the ditty jingle maker, but others call him the Chuckles the commentator. It's Alan Wilson. Good evening.
Good evening, Craig. Good evening, everybody.
Welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast. No Cam tonight, no Nathan either. Nathan's still sunning himself, and I'm sure trying not to look too much at the result. Let's dive straight into it. Clive, as always, you guys at home, get involved in the comments and let us know your thoughts on Friday night's game. Let's get the perspective from behind the goal on Friday night, starting with Clive.
Yeah, it was a game that was always there to lose, and we deserved to on the night. We didn't do enough at the back to continue the run we've been on. And Tranmere were a fine side. They were up for it. They really were on every ball. And I've said earlier, we're not going to win all the games on the run-in. And if you're going to lose games, I'd rather lose to a team like Tranmere, who deserve to win, than to allow some bad performances to allow undeserving clubs to beat us. So no need for panic, no need for despair. Move on to Tuesday.
Yeah, that's the key message to highlight throughout. And like we said on Friday night, Alan, the better side did come away with all 3 points. It was great to get the goal back in the 90th minute and set up a dramatic finish. But like I said when the goal went in, I didn't feel that was it. I felt there was one more goal in the game. And if I'm being completely honest deep down, when I said that, I meant Tranmere's way.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, and I said to you straight away, I'd congratulated on being right, Craig, because because it didn't look as if it was going to end there. I think we ought to have, I use your word, solidified at the back.
Oh, where's the bell gone? I didn't have the bell ready. Say it again. I was drinking tea.
I say we ought to have solidified at the back a little bit more instead of going gung-ho and trying to, but fair play, I suppose they tried to win it in the end. But, there was a couple of dubious decisions with the offside. I know people that have watched iFollow have freeze-framed it, on Facebook, and you've been able to see. But it's just one of those nights, I'm afraid, and we weren't quite up to it. We weren't on the mark on the night, but let's hope Tuesday's a different story.
I know people, Clive, will be talking about, like Alan mentioned there, the potential offsides. But for me, I'm not fussed about either. We weren't good enough defensively. We were all over the place at the back at times. Tranmere were a good side, deserved all 3 of their goals. The first one, the one which made it 2-1 to Tranmere, there were slight questions of offside. But like I said in commentary at the time, I thought James Perch got a little touch on it, which played him on anyway. And having looked back, I think he did. And then the third one, against the run of play, needle through, ironed the needle sort of stuff. It's one of those things, isn't it? These things happen. So for me, I don't want to get wrapped up in sort of sitting here and arguing about, 2 months down the line. Well, when we were at Tranmere, we got 2 goals against us, which we should have been offside. If it had been a VIR, they wouldn't have been they'd been offside and all that. None of that rubbish. Just hold your hands up and say we weren't good enough.
Well, Stags fans at the ground couldn't see whether they're offside or not. We were at the wrong position to do that. And normally I'd just say, well, the referee's got it right because it's his job. I thought the referee was quite poor at Tranmere. We've seen some poor referees down at the Mill, but he took the biscuit, to borrow a popular word from Alan. We didn't deserve to win, and I think the second and third goals they scored, we had the chance to upend somebody and kill the move, and we didn't do it. Perhaps we're being too nice. I don't know. But if I'm being critical, there just seemed to be a little bit of defensive complacency there, which we can't have.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's delve into some of the comments, because I think, like we sort of said a little bit on Friday, mixing it up with Ollie Hawkins coming back in, it might have just sort of unsettled us a little bit. And like I asked Nigel Clough when Lucas Akins went off, that sort of disrupted the game plan a little bit as well. Let's kick off with some of your comments then. Chris says, evening guys, can't stay to listen tonight, but I'll listen tomorrow on the drive to work. The run had to end one day, but we'll regroup and galvanise and be back at it on Tuesday. Mostly concerned about another incident where EFL officials didn't seem to take a potential concussion seriously again. Hope Faz is back soon. Yeah, let's touch upon that before we delve into any more comments. Interestingly, Alan, when I spoke to Nigel Clough after the game, I mentioned it a few times on Friday night that I thought that the Rawson substitution would have been used as a concussion sub. And then I said, that Nigel Clough was remonstrating with the fourth official. And now I know why. Because the fourth official or the referee, whoever is in charge of putting that tick in the concussion substitution box, refused to do so and refused to say that Farron Rawson was concussed.
Is that why Nigel was going ballistic then? Because where we were sat in the commentary position up in the stand, as Farron passed Nigel and he was coming round, it looked as if he hadn't got a clue where he was, because Nigel were like pushing him to one side, and then I don't know whether it was our physio chap, somebody took him down anyway, whoever it was, and it looked all over the place. So it's a strange one, that is, Craig.
Yeah, he didn't allow the referee or the fourth official didn't allow the concussion sub, Clive, and obviously Rawson aside, we'll talk about that and the injury and how that might impact the squad later on. But actually, tactically, what it does is actually give you another flip of the card, another roll of the dice. If you use it as a concussion sub, you're then allowed a fourth substitution. And both sides are allowed the fourth. So if we'd have used, Rawson as a concussion sub, they'd have been allowed a fourth sub as well. So you could argue that it could have been counted out. But having taken Rawson off as a concussion sub, let's use this analogy. If he was taken off as a concussion sub, we get the goal back through Ollie Hawkins. We've still got a sub that we're then able to make, which then actually could tactically help us out to defend and maybe shut up shop.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm not going to agree totally with you because I'm old school. I think we have too many subs anyway. But having the facility for subs and a facility for a concussion sub, I don't know how you can deny that as a concussion sub when the guy was on the ground for 8 minutes and medics from both clubs were attending to him. Now, if that's not a serious head concussion situation, what is? Does your head have to fall off? Does he have to be carried off to be a concussion sub? I mean, it's crazy. And they've brought this rule in to try and protect, players from serious head injuries, and then they don't actually apply it. It just seems crazy to me. I mean, if you're going to err on the side of caution. That referee was full of
Yeah, hot usually. Jim's been in touch, says, evening all. Clough said in his interview, Hawkins looked dangerous every time the crosses came in when he went up front. He's still our most effective and likely striker for me. We need him up front now with more depth possessed now in defence. Yeah, absolutely. Ashley says, unbeaten run had to come to an end sometime. So on to Port Vale and a big bounce back with a nice away win. Paul says, Craig, you forgot to ask about DJ and where he was, whether he was sick or injured. No, I didn't forget. It was just one of the things where I didn't have a lot of time, unfortunately. The thing that with the way that the interviews work at the moment, Jake does the ones for iFollow, which means that I get Nigel second. The show goes off air at 10 o'clock. So I've got to get that interview in as close to 10 o'clock as I possibly could. And at the time of recording, I was running very, very close to the wire. So I didn't have time to slip that question in. I'm sure it'll be one which is picked up in the press conference tomorrow if the club go ahead and hold one. And if I get the opportunity, Paul, I will. If Johnson's not involved on Tuesday, I will endeavour to ask it then. So I didn't forget to ask it. I was just a little bit time bound, unfortunately, at that point. Jim says, bit annoyed Clough didn't come and acknowledge us at full time. Cost him very little, but noticeable when absent. I think he was very much remonstrating with the referee at the time, to be fair, especially the incident with Rawson and the concussion sub, like mentioned. Craig says, in reply to Paul, more to the Johnson thing, in my opinion. According to social media this weekend, the season has also stopped. Pedro says, Stags just looked like they took the foot off the gas and sketchy defence, fair result. Paul says the players didn't look up for it on Friday, and why that's an answer we will never know. Roy says it looks like we expected to just roll them over, so I hope that's a nice kick up the backside, and I'm sure Nigel will tell them so as well. Mark adds, Nigel wasn't impressed with his post-match interview. Nick adds, I think Hawkins and O'Toole will be our two centre-backs on Tuesday, makes the defence stronger in my opinion, and Akins replaced by Bowery. Let's talk about the Akins, so I'm going to go and let Harry in a minute. You can probably hear him yapping away in the background as well. He wasn't. He was taken off after just 8 minutes or so. Was it 18 minutes? I think it was when he went off. Let me get it right. Yeah, 18 minutes when George Maris replaced Lucas Akins, and he looked to be struggling. Clive, he did look to be struggling. It does wonder why Nigel Clough perhaps didn't utilise maybe Jordan Bowery or maybe not start with Lucas Akins.
I think, and I don't know, I think Clough has a warmth towards Akins. Obviously, he knows him well. He's brought him over. I think he wants to give him game time in front of everybody. But I'm pretty sure the guy entered the pitch at the start carrying a strain. And it didn't take much to make it impossible for him to carry on. Now, I do criticise the management and the physio for allowing that to develop in that way. And the clubs, and also the player has to be totally honest and and tell his gaffer if he feels he's got a stiffness or what was it? Was it a hamstring he was struggling with? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I've had hamstring injuries and they're not pleasant, and you can't play through them. You have to get off and let the thing recover. So, but either way, it happened, and these things will do. Going back to social media for a second, I mean, there was the other night I jumped in on a thread where people were starting to have a go at one or two players. Here we go. I said, okay, we've lost 1 in 15. Let's start ripping the players up, shall we? It's pathetic. I mean, thank goodness not all fans are like that. Most of them are like us, can see the sense in it. But it doesn't take much to get some of the keyboard warriors out there.
No, that was the thing which was on my mind, Alan, to be fair, about, eventually when we lost the game, social media is a very easy platform to go on. And, like Clive said, it is the minority, but there was always going to be a few murmurs. And that's why I was sort of emphasising the thing about we have to bounce back as a collective. One defeat isn't going to rock our season, but it will if we allow it to. We can't sit and moan and say, well, we're not good enough. Why aren't we good enough? We've lost 1 game in this amazing run of form we have. 3 or 4 games down the line, if we don't pick up any points and we drop down to, 14th, 15th, and we put ourselves out of the race, then fair enough. But we lose 1. We've still got we've got Forest Green to play twice. We've got teams in and around us to play still. And most importantly, and let's not forget how critical these were back in 2013, 3 words: games in hand.
Yeah, and I say, but like we've said before, Craig, you have to win them. I've always said I'd sooner have points on the board than games in hand. I've always said that first. That's just my opinion. But we have got games in hand, and as we all know, we've seen the league table. If we win those games in hand, we could probably go second. It's as easy and as simple as that. But what they've got to do Tuesday night, and I'm sure Nigel will reiterate this to them before they go out, and probably training tomorrow and whenever else, that they need to, buckle up and get on it from from get-go, like they did. Tranmere came at us and they, bullied us, if you like. They pushed us off the ball. We couldn't get anything going. So Port Vale will probably have seen that, and they'll probably be entitled to do the same. We just need to be on as metal and, from minute 1.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Sorry to interrupt, Craig, but it's fair to say the first half, Tranmere choked us. The games we're used to playing out of midfield, they didn't allow it to happen. They were first to every loose ball. They were on everything, and that's to their credit. In the second half, my bloke I was with sat next to me in the stand, he says, I wonder how long it will be before Tranmere lose their energy, because they've been playing such an intensive game. And he felt that might be the time we would spring into action. Well, they never did. They were worth their win. I mean, it's disappointing the way they got it, but they were, overall, they were worth their win.
Yeah, I have to say as well, you look at some of the results from Saturday afternoon, and you just sort of talk about how much the league table has changed a little bit, and some results which probably some weren't expecting. Every team's going to hit a bit of a dodgy patch. Forest Green have certainly hit a bit of a dodgy patch as well in sort of the last 3-4 games or so. They lost 2-0 at Bradford, at home to Bradford on Saturday. You've got Bristol Rovers who are on a bit of a charge. Northampton, who were second, they also lost to Carlisle on Saturday as well. Exeter drew 0-0 with Salford. It's a crazy, crazy league, and it's so tight. And it just says it all by looking at the league table, because other than, the comparison between first and second, Forest Green in first on 68 and Northampton in second on 60, it's so tight. Third place, Newport County, 59 points. Fourth place, Tranmere, also 59 points. Fifth and sixth, Exeter Swindon, 58. 7th, 8th, Sutton Bristol Rovers, 57. Us in 9th, 56. And then Port Vale beneath us on 53. Salford just below them in 49. It's so tight, that top 11 to maybe that top 13, 14 places. Anyone could go on a bit of a run. And I think it's just about finding your feet and just taking the rough with the smooth. Like people have said, you're going to lose games, and it's all about how you go and respond. And the big thing for me will be all about character on Tuesday night. But another thing which Nigel Clough mentioned in his post-match interview, Clive, was you mentioned it there earlier a little bit about the midfield. Tranmere won every loose ball going in the centre of the park because we seem to lose the ability to tackle. And we always sort of end this show talking about lessons. And I think one thing which Nigel Clough sort of picked up on, if you read between the lines, is that they became a little bit complacent in their team selection. We've got a squad that's there, not just an 11. And I think you'll definitely see some changing it up in terms of style, personnel, formation on Tuesday night and for the rest of the month.
Yeah, we've got the players waiting to have a go. And I think there were one or two players from the Tranmere game that probably need to be rested. It's fortunate if we've got the options there now. And I also think you need to try and keep these people involved going forward, because the last half dozen games are going to be manic. Everybody's going to be fighting for every point. There's no question about that. And we need to keep a cohesive squad together. I have to say that I think we'll be better off with JJ back in the squad, back in the starting 11. And I think had Rawson not been injured, there must be some question mark of whether he'll be able to play on Tuesday at Port Vale. Then you'd see him slotting straight in there. And that would have automatically, in my book, thrown Hawkins into a forward position. I suspect if Rawson isn't available, then Hawkins will still play in defence.
Yeah, it'd make natural sense to go back with a partnership of Hawkins and O'Toole, considering how well they were playing together before both got suspended. Let's delve into some more of the comments. Roger says, I listened to the game on 103.2 on Friday. Thank you. A frantic last 10 minutes. Clough said tackling was not up to scratch in his interview, was not very happy how we conceded that winner. It'll probably won't be the last game we lose this season. It's just minimising them, absolutely. Craig says, on paper, it's possible to take 15 out of 15 points over the next 5 games. Roy says, I do think making McLaughlin captain, we should make McLaughlin captain. Tranmere were just simply better, and you've just got to acknowledge it, says Roger. Vale on a good run, so it's another tough game on Tuesday night. Yeah, let's tick the final boxes on the Tranmere game, then we'll get some reaction from Nigel Clough for those who missed it. Let's have a look at a positive we can take away from the game on Friday, Alan, and that is the fact that despite conceding 3 goals, despite losing the game, the Stags did fight back, not once, but twice. You've got to applaud that character.
I think we were both in the same mind. We were always thinking that they were going to get back in it. But, it was just a shame to lose it right at the end, albeit a very, very good goal. But, we just need to... There's the only good thing that I can think about Tuesday night is when I assume, like Clive said, that Rawson will be out. So we assume it's Hawkins and JJ at the back. They'll be playing in the right positions where they have played that before, where I think it was a bit topsy-turvy with Hawkins and Rawson, in my opinion. I think he was on the different side to what he normally is, and I don't think he looked too comfortable there, especially to start off. But yes, I think I'm looking forward to Tuesday. I think we'll see a different Mansfield Town, Craig.
Yeah, you got a very good point there about the centre-half positions, and we probably should highlight that a little bit, Clive, as well. Hewitt's been fantastic this season as he's gone on and got stronger game by game. Was playing right back and right wing back for a long time, then was put into centre half and slotted in there naturally. Friday he went back across to right back. Hawkins ended up playing left side centre half where he usually would play right with JJ left, etc. People say, well, it's just playing centre half. Nah, it is just playing a position. It's not. There are very subtle differences, and I think we didn't set as early as what we needed to. We didn't settle, and then that early goal after 8 minutes or so, that sort of rocked the boat, and I think it sort of took the wind out of our sails a little bit, and we just didn't recover. We didn't get ourselves set as quickly as what we needed to be.
Yeah, the first goal was a return to the old failings of not dealing with a cross, and they were alert enough to pick it up and deal with it and score with it. But I think we're overcritical at times. I think the back four, in whatever format we've used them, has been really solid over the last 3 months. And there were just caught out by a better, more fluid team, I thought, at Prenton Park. But I agree. I agree with Alan. I think it's appropriate to have them playing in the positions they feel better at. And whilst that's only a subtle difference, to pick up on your point, Craig, players do like to know where their respective team partners are at all times without having to actually see them. And that understanding between subgroups on the pitch is vital. And that whenever you change that, that's always the risk. I thought, again, I don't want to sound overcritical. I'm not intending to, but we weren't as effective down the left-hand side as we have been. But I think that's probably because Tranmere had done the homework and they realised that the Macca-Quinn channel was there to be stopped, and they did it effectively.
Yeah, they certainly did the research on us, definitely, and you know what, I take my hat off to them. They deserved it. The only person that didn't deserve it was the Tranmere fan who was in front of me, who turned around and screamed in my face. There's no need for that. I mean,
No.
if you score a late goal in the 90 whatever minute it was, 94th minute or whatever, celebrate with your mates. Don't turn around and scream in the broadcaster's face. I'll give you an accurate representation of what happened. So Tranmere score. Their guy turns around and he's like, yes!
Dean was quite critical of him, and he was quite upset, Craig, let me tell you. He said that shouldn't have happened in football, and I agree. But he did shake your hand after the match.
Yeah, I think he's got a twin brother, by the way, because me and Nat, my missus, were in Liverpool on the Saturday. We decided to stay over for a couple of nights, and we were walking around the Albert Docks, and there was a guy who looked identical to him trying to sell half-an-hour boat tours, and we weren't really that interested. And then, you know, the Liverpudlian charm came on. They talked us into it. We paid, about £8 each to get on this boat, about $2.50 a piece for a hot chocolate or whatever. Just went round the water. Didn't see anything. Got robbed of about £20. Joke. It must have
Probably
been
was his twin brother then.
Probably was, but no, there was no need for it. I mean, all for fans celebrating and enjoying it. You know, we jumped up and celebrated when we scored both our goals with our passion. To be fair, we were doing our job. We weren't neutral commentators. We were there to commentate for Mansfield. So I suppose you could say that. But, you know, there's just no need to turn around and scream in somebody's face. But wish them all the best for the season, and all fair in love and football. Right, let's wrap up all things Tranmere by getting some reaction from Nigel Clough. When we come back, we'll talk all things Port Vale and that big important question: how should the Stags line up on Tuesday night? What personnel should come in? And can the Stags find it within themselves to bounce back and keep the promotion hunt on? It's a very, very tight League Two table. But first, speak to me pitchside at Prenton Park after the 3-2 defeat away at Tranmere Rovers, ending Mansfield Town's 14-game unbeaten run in Sky Bet League Two. For Mansfield 103.2, here's the thoughts of Nigel Clough. The unbeaten run comes to end here at Prenton Park. How did you begin to evaluate that one tonight?
Generally disappointed with the way we played, but having got back into the game twice that we did, and then scoring in 90 odd minutes and then conceding again, probably summed our night up. In terms of, I think what we've been good over the run is doing different sides of the game when we needed to. I don't think we did the side of the game when you haven't got the ball well enough tonight. I think the fact we've come here and not picked up one yellow card just typifies that.
Yeah, I think we really struggled to win the ball back at times, especially in the midfield areas. Far too many times it seemed like Tranmere were just allowing easy second phases of play.
Yeah, well, our strength is playing with the ball, and when you get Maris who came on and you've got Sturk and you've got Quinn in there and everything, then our strength has to be keeping the ball, but we didn't do that well enough. So when you give it away, you've got to go and get it back, and we didn't do that either. Let's
look at the goals, because the second one in particular, I know there were a few questions about offside. What was your view on it from down here at pitch level? You had a much better view than what we would have had up there.
No, I haven't actually. You'll had a better view from above, but having seen them both back, both the second and third goals are offside.
Yeah, and disappointed in the way we conceded them, because I think at times tonight, I don't think we were on top of our defensive game either.
No, that was typifies the whole sort of performance. You come here to Tranmere, lost 4 out of 5. They're going to really big crowd. They're going to be up for it, and we didn't deal with that at times. Having said that, we've still scored 2 goals and should have got a point from the game. And if we'd have got defended a little bit better, or the assistant had been a bit better at his job, then maybe we would have got a point.
And of course, you look at the other end. If you're going to take any positives from tonight, it's the fact that your side did manage to fight back twice, and we don't do things easy. We always have a little bit of drama right at the end of normal time.
Yeah, it was a difficult one because when there was 8 minutes, I think we scored after 2 or 3, something like that. I don't know. And then do you put Hawkins back there? Do we go back to what we got such a hodgepodge sort of thing out by then? And you think, well, if we can get the ball in the box, we might even nick a winner ourselves. And then you're relying on sort of Hewitt and Perch and Macca as the back three to make sure we don't concede, but they didn't manage that.
Was the game plan rocked a little bit by Lucas Akins' injury early doors?
Yeah, because we had a couple of options with the side we picked. We wanted to go the same as we did very much last week with 2 up and 1 behind. There wasn't a lot of space, so we were on the verge of sort of maybe splitting it a little bit and going sort of 2 off the striker, and then we lost Lucas, so that forced our hand a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird game tonight in terms of a few injuries picked up here and there. Probably the worst of which from our perspective was Rawson, which led to that 8 minutes added on. What's the latest with Faz? Because he was walking off, he didn't seem to know where he was at times.
No, that's how he looked, and we were very, very surprised that it wasn't classed as a concussion substitution.
Was it not?
No, we were told we couldn't do that, but as you say, you saw him walking off yourself. I saw him and he looked like a zombie, but no, not classed as being able to make a concussion substitution, so very surprising.
Yeah, I have to say I'm very surprised by that myself. Attention though turns quickly back to Tuesday night because we have to pick ourselves up and go again. Will it be difficult to pick ourselves up after such a long run, or is it a case of the lads in there are already itching to get back out and put it right?
No, we'll need a little bit, when you haven't lost for 13-14 games, then in the circumstances we lost tonight, I'm glad we've got the weekend, and then we'll get back to work after that and start trying to get a point or 3 at Port Vale. But it's not a shock because you come here and they are a very, very strong side at home. But when you haven't had that feeling for a good a couple of months or something like that, it's not a very pleasant one.
No, it's not. John Joe O'Toole will be back available for you after his suspension on Tuesday. Gives you another option, especially if Faz will probably be a huge doubt for that one.
Yeah, of course, and Lucas Akins also will be. So we'll need to. We were picking the team sort of yesterday, even trying to pick them ahead for the next 2 or 3 games as much as you can. That's out the window now with the injuries we've got, but. We'll just have to see how they are over on Monday.
In terms of reflections and taking things away from this game, what do you take away tonight to learn from going into Port Vale and the running ahead?
That we can't play our football all the time, that there has to be another element to your game, which generally we've done very well away from home. It's a different game. You go to somewhere like Newport, lovely pitch as it was here tonight, and we played our football and we were very good. Other times, other qualities are needed, and we didn't quite have those tonight.
And finally, backed again by a phenomenal support once more from Mansfield on a Friday night. No doubt it'll be the same at Port Vale Tuesday. What's your final message to them?
I'm sorry we couldn't get a point. We won't try and win the game even. When we got back to 2-2, we thought with Hawks up there, if we could get the ball in the box, he looked dangerous every single time we put the ball in the box, and that was our intention. And I think they want us to keep playing like that and keep going for it and trying to win the game.
Nigel Clough speaking to me pitch side after Friday night's 3-2 loss at Tranmere Rovers for Mansfield 103.2. Let's address the first thing within there which he finished on, Clive, and that is I think the fans want to see us continue to play like that, and that is throwing everything at it and trying to go and win the game. And I think the simple answer to that is a 3-letter word beginning with Y ending in yes.
Oh, agreed. But of course, everything at Mansfield this year has been built around the expectation of a clean sheet, something we've been doing quite regularly as well. And that excuses a lack of goals being scored at the other end, although we scored 2 against Tranmere. We've not been prolific goal scorers, therefore we have to keep it tight. So you really do have to refocus on how you prevent them scoring rather than us being gung-ho and flying around the field like lunatics. Don't get me wrong, I'd sooner win 5-4 than 1-0, but we that's not our choice, is it? The game is very much based around being a hard team to beat, and certainly under other circumstances we might have come away with a point against a very good side at Tranmere. We didn't, and that's history now. I'm intrigued to think what we're going to do with the team going into Port Vale with a number of options, some of them forced and some of them through choice. But I'm intrigued to see where we're going to go.
Yeah, we'll get your thoughts on that in just a minute. Get everybody else's thoughts on that as well. If you want to have a guess or let us know how you'd line up, then get involved in the comments. One thing I picked up on there on the night and listening back to it, Alan, actually, was Clough's tone towards the end of that interview. Very, very disappointed, mainly for the fans. I got the feeling that he felt that he and the players had let the fans down a little bit on Friday night, and there was a very apologetic and somber end to that interview.
Yeah, it seemed to be, didn't he? And I mean, I didn't see it at the end. I was still finishing talking with you to finish off the match before we went home. And I didn't see whether he went over and clapped or not. You know, people have said on social media that he didn't. And you gave one of the reasons for that. So that's probably why he didn't. I don't know. But it did sound very disappointed, like you would be after the big run, you know, and we're not winning on Friday. But look on the bright side, Craig. We've got 5 home matches left. We've been unbelievable at home. We've won 10 on the trot, haven't we? So who's to say we can't win 15 on the trot? There's another 15 points there. It's certainly not time to get downhearted.
No, and who's to say that we're not going to go on another phenomenal
right.
run as well? You know, there's 12 games left to go now in Sky Bet League 2. Forest Green to play twice, 5 home games, a number of away games as well, including 3 more back-to-back at the end of this month. Lots of miles to put in, lots of places to go and make some memories, which I'm sure we will. Starting with Port Vale on Tuesday night. If you want to go with the Stag Supporters Association, they've got a number of coaches going. It's £10 for all SSA members, £15 for non-members. And if you want to get yourself a place on the coach, this is the number to call.
07967 689 597.
And the number to call, if you missed it, grab yourself a pen and write it down. Press pause if you listen to the audio version. This is the number.
07967 689 597.
Details are on the screen for you. Just ignore the Tranmere bit. 4:30 departure from One Call Stadium if you want to get yourself on the coach to Port Vale on Tuesday night. Right then, let's delve into players coming back, potential formations, things like that. John Joe O'Toole available after his the ending of his suspension. Clive, I think even without Faz being injured and unavailable for this one, I think it would be a given that O'Toole would go straight back into the 11 anyway, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, without question.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of who partners who, to be fair. Get your suggestions in on formations and personnel in the comments. Clive, give us yours. I know you've got some ideas on how we should line up. Who would you bring in? How would you be playing on Tuesday night if you were Nigel Clough shuffling the pack?
Well, I'm not sure what format I would go for. 3-5-2 seems to make sense, but I suspect with the enforced return to the defensive structure of Hawkins, we might go for a 3-4-2-1 format. I don't know, because I don't like the idea of our lead striker being left very much on his own, and it showed on the Tranmere game that didn't work very well. You need someone with him. But one or two people have picked up on Murphy not having a particularly good game. I'd agree he wasn't particularly influential. He was quiet, I think. And apart from scoring a goal, so was Longstaff. I didn't think he had a particularly brilliant game. Now, we've got this midfield, and you could have Clark back in, Maris from the start. Obviously, you've got Quinn and Mackie. You keep those in place. And then either Oates on his own or Hawkins with him, depending on whether we have need of Hawkins at the back. Then the question mark is, what about Longstaff? What about Murphy? Are we going to play those? And if so, you'd expect Longstaff to get in the side somewhere, but at whose expense?
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
And then the question mark is, if you do want a partner for Oates, what are we going to do with? Are we going to get Johnson to play? Are we going to get Jordan Bowery on from the start? They're all possibilities. It depends how confident we are that we can shore up the back without being overfilled.
Yeah, and it's not just a case of looking at how we could play as well. It's looking at Port Vale as well, and they're a very dangerous side. I think one defeat in their last 11 of 12 Sky Bet League 2 games, and they absolutely romped their last game against Crawley, a 4-1 win at Vale Park on Saturday afternoon. A number of ex-Stags in that lineup as well, all looking to get one over on their former side. Harry Charlesley, Mal Benning, Sir Mal has been on the bench of late, and Aidan Stone actually got a game for Port Vale on Saturday as well. He was brought back into the lineup after missing out for the last few games or so. So all of these players looking to get one over on their former club, and Port Vale 3 points behind Mansfield, looking to pull themselves level and keep themselves in the race as well. It's probably tougher in some respects than actually going to Tranmere.
It is, especially as did we beat them at home? I think we did, or was it a draw?
I thought we drew with Port Vale.
We drew then, yeah, we drew. So yeah, fair play. But I would like to see Bishop in goal, a back four of Hewitt, Hawkins, because I don't think Faz will play, JJ and Macca. Midfield four, I'd like to go 4-4-2. I'd like to see Quinn, Stirk, Maris, and Longstaff, because he's been putting the goals in. Fair play to him. And up front, I would like to see Oates, and pick anyone from either Johnson or Barry. Possibly shade it to Barry because it can hold the ball up so well. But I think DJ, like it said in the comments, he's got to be chomping at the bit, and I think he might just, the fox in the box. It might just work Tuesday night.
Yeah, for me, I'm risking it. I'm going to go with a 3 at the back. I think Nigel Clough's big criticism on Friday was the fact that we didn't tackle in midfield, and I think he's going to flood that midfield and try and compact it and try and stop Port Vale playing. I think it'd be because they tend to play with wing backs rather than full backs. They try and push bodies into midfield. Yeah. So I think that'll go into it. And with that in mind, Rawson's not going to play. Which means Hawkins has got to go to the back for me, although I do want to see him up front once Rawson's back. But I'm going, obviously, Bishop in goal. I'm going for a back three of Hewitt, Hawkins, O'Toole. And then a possible midfield of Bowery on the right-hand side, which is a risk as a wing back, but he's played there and he can play there. I don't think Akins will play, otherwise I think he'd play there. Lapsley will play. Ollie Clark will be back in. Quinn will play, and then obviously McLaughlin. I've just got to work this out with my fingers now. I've got enough players there. What did I say there? Bowery.
Are you playing McLaughlin twice in this format or what?
No, just put him left wing back.
Okay.
Yeah, hang on. Yeah. Bowery, Lapsley, Clark, Quinn, McLaughlin, the 5 across midfield. Then I'm going to have Maris as the number 10, just in behind a front two, which would consist of Johnson and Oates. It would be a risk playing Johnson. I'm not sure what it is, whether he's fancied or not. I think he's just waiting for his chance. But I actually think those two together could be quite a dangerous combination. They've got a bit of pace. They both
Craig, can I just ask you, are your midfield? I didn't catch what you said. Is Longstaff in your midfield?
No.
So you're dropping Longstaff?
Yeah. Even though he's got 3 and 3, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Murphy sidelined?
Yeah. Murphy benched as well. And this is no reflection on them or any performance at Tranmere. I'm looking and listening to what Nigel Clough said, and I'm in complete agreement that we've got to freshen it up. We've got to get fresh bodies in there. You look at the players that didn't play on Friday night, and you look at the players that didn't play the Friday before. You've got Ollie Clark that's not played for a number of games, the captain who's not started, George Maris who's been out of the side, Lapsley who's itching for a game. Kieran Wallace is another one that's not played. You've got James Perch there. In fact, thinking about the James Perch thing, if I'm going to make any change to my 11, which I've just named there, I'm going to put Perch in as in the back three and move Hawkins up front alongside Oates. The option, well, he probably won't, but the options that are there are vast, aren't they? That's what I like, and I think that's why we will have this bounce back ability. I think, we've mentioned it and referenced it a number of times before. In previous squads, we've not had the depth good enough to be able to recognise our weakness and change it up on a consistent basis. And like Clough mentioned in his interview, Alan, they were planning sides for the next 3-4 games. And I think that planning included a lot of rotation, and what we have seen over the last 4 or 5 games is a very similar 11, and I think Clough's frustration came down not just to the lack of tackling in the midfield and a lack of pace, but I think it came down to a little bit of complacency, both from him and his management and coaching team and the players themselves. And I think the way to counter that is to utilise the squad, not the 11.
And I mean, apart from the injuries, I mean, we've got no suspensions to worry about now. But apart from the injuries, your new players like Longstaff, Murphy, Akins, and Wallace, before they arrived, we were on a fine run anyway. You know, admitted Lapsley was injured. We've got Ollie Clark and Maris in the middle. Sturck's always been there. He's been reasonable players, had a good season. So, you know, like we said, we've got plenty of options on the bench. And if he does go with that side that you've named, or, you know, Clive's named, I've named, whatever, whoever you want to name, I'm sure they'll do a job. But I think it might be an idea just to, I don't think, as well as Rawson, Akins won't play if he won't with a hamstring. So it gives a chance for somebody else to drop in.
I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm going to be honest. On the Akins thing, injured or not, he'd be rested for me anyway, because I think he needs a break. And the good thing about resting the likes of Akins, Murphy, Longstaff, I know some people might be sort of questioning why I'm leaving Longstaff out, having got 3 and 3, but it's to keep them fresh. It's to keep them going, because you forget, not only have we got to go to Port Vale on Tuesday, we've then got a home game against a struggling side on the Saturday against Stevenage. And then we've got 3 really tough places to go. Rochdale, Oldham. They're flying at the minute at Oldham. They're under a little bit of a resurgence at the moment. Hartlepool again, another difficult place to go. Miles, you know, in the legs, time on the coach travelling. We are going to freshen things up, and leaving those players out on the back of a defeat gives them a little bit of time to rest, recuperate, but also reflect and come back itching, scratching and knocking at the door to try and get in this squad and to help them over the line.
Well, I bet Johnson wonders what he's got to do, to be fair. I don't know whether they've had a fallout, whether it's just, you know, I know he had the big injury, but he's never been able to force himself back. But as soon as, I know it was only the under-23s, if you want to put it like that, but basically 2 under-23 games, he scored 4 goals. And apparently the other day he could have had a hat-trick. You know, so he still knows where the net is. So I would put him on the bench just to start with and give him, you know, like 20, 25 minutes if it's not working, instead of, you know, 10 minutes where you can't really do a deal apart from their Tranmere sub did.
The other option we've got, Clive, and we've not really mentioned him too much. He's been one of the quieter additions in January, but when he's come on, he's looked quite solid, and that is Kieran Wallace, who not only can play centre of the park, left full back if needed, he can also play centre half. So that gives us a little bit more options as well. We could go quite physical and make it a back 3 of Wallace, Perch, O'Toole, Hawkins up top, and get McLaughlin out wide. Or you could slot McLaughlin at left side centre half and Wallace as a full back.
Well, Wallace is a utility player, and clearly it's handy to have. But whether that means he will be a first choice in any circumstance is difficult to see. I certainly, you keep mentioning Perch. I can't see Perch being anything other than on the bench, to be honest. Much as I like the lad, I think, you know, we have to find a solution without Perch and stuff. But I don't know. We've not seen enough of Wallace to judge him, really, have we?
No, I've been impressed with him whenever he's played. I thought when he came on at Harrogate, he completely changed the game for us. We were unlucky not to probably take something that night. I think had the conditions not been as woeful as they were, I think we might have got something. But when he came on, he really impressed with his physicality, because he got stuck in. We were missing it that night as well, like we were at Tranmere. We were missing someone that could tackle. He came on and did that. And whenever he's come on, he's looked, you know, quite a strong physical player. And I just think that might be a little angle of our game which Clough might look to utilise at some point. Let's have a look at some of your guys' suggestions in the comments on the live feed. Roy says JJ in for Rawson, Bowery in for Akins, and Johnson for Murphy. Craig says my 11 would be Bishop, Hewitt, Hawkins, JJ, Macca, Clark, Sturck, Quinn, Lapsley, Oates, Bowery. Paul says about time DJ got a starting chance. He must be chomping at the bit. And replying to Craig's team, he says, why drop Longstaff 3 and 3? Sorry, but I don't agree. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. And then he's actually replied, I realised I'd missed Longstaff after I posted Longstaff instead of Lapsley, please. Roy says that their keeper, Port Vale, is our ex-player, isn't he? Yeah, Aidan Stone. Top quality lad. Hoping he doesn't have a great night on Tuesday, though, and I mean that in the nicest way possible, Aidan. Hope you're keeping well, my friend. Roger says the squad is there to be utilised, should make a bit difference. And Paul says put Akins on the bench Tuesday if he's fit. Lots of options for Nigel Clough, but there we go. It's all fair and all fun and games in love and football. Let's turn our attention then to podcast predictions before we bring things to an end. I'm going to blame myself probably for the defeat on Friday. I'll take a little bit of it because, as we know, superstition for me is a big thing. And in fact, am I going to blame me or am I going to blame chuckling Alan Wilson? I always sit when I commentate, I always sit on the left. Sat on the right on Friday, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Well, you told me to sit there.
Yeah, no, there is a reason for it though, because otherwise it would have been me and Martin over each other. So
well, that's fair comment.
there is that, and you know what, superstition is not a thing, and it's more of a comfort blanket on that one. But those of you who are superstitious will be keen to remind me that, Craig, you never do more than one game per game on podcast predictions. Why have you tried to mix it up? Well, on last week I did, because I gave you the chance to predict both games and do the triple table point prediction, whatever I called it. That still stands, but I am going to give you two the option, if you wish to do so, to change your prediction for Tuesday. Points wise, nobody picked up any points from Tranmere except one person. Actually, except one person. Cam did pick up a point for getting one of the goal scorers right, because he predicted Matty Longstaff to get on the score sheet. I remind you of your predictions for Tuesday night at Port Vale. I've gone for a 2-1 win, O'Toole and Maris. Clive, you went for a 2-0 win with Oates and Longstaff. Alan, you went for a 2-1 win, Oates and Murphy. Cam went for 2-0 McLaughlin and Lapsley. Do you wish to change your prediction, Alan? I'll let you go first.
Only with the scorers, because I don't think Murphy will play personally.
Okay, so you're sticking with 2-1, a 2-1 win.
Sticking with 2-1 and going with Oates, and I think Barry will play.
Okay, Clive, do you wish to change yours?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so you're sticking with 2-0 win, Oates and Longstaff.
Yep.
And I'm also going to stick. I am going to go with a 2-1 win with O'Toole and Maris. I'm going to keep that as it is. Cam and Nathan, if they wish to alter their predictions, they can do so, but we cannot change the triple point table prediction because that was the aim of the game. It was to gamble. So there you go.
It's asking a lot, isn't it, for me to win that now? We're going from 9th till 3rd in one game.
Yeah, I actually don't think that's mathematically possible, is it? No, it's not. No.
So
no, we can. No, we can. We're on 56. Third is Newport on 59, so we can, but we'd have to win by what they're on plus 30. We're on plus 9. We'd have to win by 4 goals or more in order for that to happen. Do they play on Tuesday night? I don't know. I don't know if they do actually or not. Let's have a little look. What games are on Tuesday night? Let's change it. Get rid of that. Oh no, there's a full program on Tuesday night, so they'd have to lose at Carlisle.
Yeah, it's all shot.
Yeah, it's all shot.
But Carlisle are playing well. Carlisle have won 4 out of 4, haven't they?
Yeah,
unbeaten. Paul Simpson.
Yeah, absolutely flying under him, to be fair. But there you go. Anyway, that's all fun and games. That's what it's all about. As always, on the Sunday sermon, we've not done one for a while. We will be doing one for the remainder of the month because we do play Saturday, Tuesday for the remainder of the month. So we will be here on every Sunday. We'll also be here in midweek to reflect on all things Port Vale as well. But on the Sunday sermon, because it's a sermon, we take lessons away from the game we've just played. So, Accident Prone Al, aka Chuckles the commentator, aka the singing jingle maker. I'm going to see if I can. Get it up. He sent me one in a private chat earlier. A different one for the B side of the biscuit game.
This is going to lose us viewers. You know that, don't you?
My favourite place is the biscuit tile, it's where I like to be. Looking at the varieties that are dunk into my tea. Molten milk and shortbread are very, very nice. But my favourite is the hobnob, 'cause you can dunk it twice. So what's your favourite biscuit, custard cream or Oreo? Put it in the comments, Mansfield Matters wants to know. Pink wafer Garibaldi or Fox's Crunch Cream. Keep following the Stags, be part of the winning team.
I mean, arguably, it's probably better than the first one, to be fair. But I've put so much. We've put so much work into making it three verses.
Alan, can I just remind people that perhaps don't know what your profession is?
Yes.
And you were doing
that
it
was
to
the whole point, guys.
Yes.
That was the whole point.
Oh, yeah, I've just got that. Oh, dear. The singing dustman, Alan Wilson. You know, Britain's Got Talent. Auditions are still open. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, lessons. We take away lessons from this. What are your lessons to take away from Tranmere, the singing dustman, Alan Wilson?
One swallow doesn't make a summer.
It's a good one to reflect on. Clive, what's your lesson?
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. My lesson is going to be, if you're in midfield, put a tackle in, and remember that in order to fly, first you must have the courage to jump. And sometimes when you jump, you don't fly straight away. You've got to have that little stumble. You've got to have that little bit of confidence about you to, get yourself soaring in the air. Mansfield Town can do it this season, in my heart of hearts. I'm going to put the same question to you, though, because it's the question we started the show with. Can Mansfield Town respond on Tuesday at Port Vale with 12 games to go in Sky Bet League 2 and continue to keep this burning fire of promotion ambition alive? Clive.
Is it custard cream?
Get out.
Your answer to that, Craig, most definitely yes.
I'll give him a second chance. Clive?
I'm totally confident.
Yeah, me too. Stick with the journey all the way. First, though, let's have our final reflections on Friday night. Let's by having a little look back to the action as called by myself and the singing dustman, a.k.a. Chuckles the commentator, Alan Wilson on Mansfield 103.2. My thanks, as always, to Clive and Alan, to you for watching. Until next time, sit back and, I'd say, don't look back in anger.
The venue, Prenton Park. The mission for Mansfield Town to come away with another 3 points. We are moments away from kick-off here as 7th Tranmere Rovers play 6th Mansfield Town. The Stags make one change from the side, which beat Exeter City by 2-1 at One Call Stadium last Friday night. Back from suspension, Ollie Hawkins comes in. Jordan Bowery drops to the bench. The Stags line up with Nathan Bishop in goal. A back four of Elliot Hewitt, Farron Rawson, Ollie Hawkins and captain Stephen McLaughlin. In midfield, it's Matty Longstaff, who's got 2 goals in as many games, alongside Ryan Stirk and Stephen Quinn. Up front, Rhys Oates, Lucas Akins and Jamie Murphy. On the bench, Ollie Clark, Jordan Bowery, George Maris, James Perch, Kieran Wallace, George Lapsley and the goalkeeper Marek Steck. The teams have just made their way out onto the pitch here at Prenton Park. Morris will take the resulting corner. A left-footed in swinger, delivered in now towards the back post where there's a free runner. It's headed back into the net, and Tranmere Rovers are ahead after just 4 minutes. A set piece has undone Mansfield Town. The ball came into the back post. It was headed back in towards the middle by Callum McDonald, and Mansfield Town didn't respond. Back to Hewitt, to the feet of Oates, takes it well. Oates back to Hewitt, good from Mansfield. Quinn to McLaughlin, low balling towards the middle, towards the back post. It's there! What a finish by Matty Longstaff, who makes it 3-3.
Brilliant finish. Excellent. The keeper did his best, though, to try and keep it out, but I just couldn't believe that. We deserved that.
Tranmere Rovers again have possession inside their own half. They'll look to counter. Perch has got to touch the ball, which means that Tranmere man is onside. Well on with Bishop. Bishop comes out. He's in from Tranmere Rovers, and Tranmere Rovers have gone 2-1 up here. It's the substitute Elliot Nevitt. Can Mansfield Town rescue themselves again? Murphy delivers the corner in towards the middle. Oh yeah! It's incredible stuff.
No more than they deserve with that one.
in the 90th minute. The Stags strike
Now,
again.
why didn't Hawkins go up earlier?
Was it Hawkins who got the
I
touch?
think it was Hawkins.
I have got no idea who scored for Mansfield
I
Town, but
think
I
it was
could
Hawkins.
not care less. Tranmere have breached the offside trap again. It's going to be a bowling towards the area. It's a shot, and it's there. Tranmere Rovers have done it again. And number 20, who scored again, the
Finished it off
substitute
well.
of Elliot Nevitt, who makes it 3-2 in the 94th minute. Murphy steps up, delivers the goal kick over the halfway line, and there it
That's
is.
it, Craig.
Mansfield
That's
Town's unbeaten run is over. Tranmere Rovers have led 3 times in this game. Mansfield Town fought back twice but couldn't do it a third time, and they take all 3 points.
As always, thanks very much for listening. That's all we've got time for on tonight's Sunday sermon. We'll be back in the week as we reflect on Mansfield Town's trip to Port Vale, where they're looking to bounce back following Friday night's defeat at Tranmere Rovers. That'll either be on Wednesday or Thursday. Make sure you stay tuned to our social media pages to find out when. And of course, if you can't get to Port Vale on Tuesday night, make sure you make a date with Mansfield 103.2. Midweek Sports Beat special starts with team news at 7 o'clock. Lee Wilson back alongside me for full match commentary, where you won't want to miss a kick of the action. So the sucker punch at Tranmere on Friday night drops the Stags out of the playoffs, but it's very, very tight in Sky Bet League 2. It's all still to play for, and there's still a long way of the season to go. So sit tight and enjoy the ride, because I believe that this Mansfield Town side are capable of bouncing back, and not just bouncing back, doing so with a vengeance. Thanks for your company as ever here on the Sunday sermon. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Have a great week. We'll see you again on Tuesday if you tune in for commentary, and in the week for the reaction right here on the Mansfield Matters podcast, where, win, lose or draw, we continue to follow the dream.